Greetings, free thinkers. Welcome to the Hoggcast. How are you doing today? I hope you're doing fine. I certainly am. Okay, what do we have for you on today's episode? We have for you this man here, who is a Chinese sociologist with links to the CCP. He has gave a speech in which he says that thanks to him and his cohorts in the CCP, quote, death is coming to America. His words, of course, not mine. You know I love America. So we're going to look at what he has to say, especially in relation to the things that have happened in 2020. And after we've seen what he's got to say, I will give you my 2 cents for what it's worth. So without further ado, let's get into this video. If you haven't yet, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, share this video around. There's buttons down there, the subscribe button, notification button, share button. Only takes a couple of minutes, and this is information I do believe that your compatriots in the United States and elsewhere in the West really need to see. So let's turn this over to this dashing man here, who is a sociologist for CCP. Okay, so over to Mr. Sociologist from China.
结果没想到中国要在2027年超过美国了。2027年，原来说是可能还要缓个1-2年。 结果今年这个上帝搞了个小阴谋，是吧？上帝给这个搞出来一个新冠，叫世界各国一弄，就是一搞这个新冠，这么一折腾新冠，结果对世界各国出了个考题，等于是，结果这个考题是个偏心的考题。这个新冠啊，这个东西啊，它是最不利于欧美的，最有利于朝鲜和中国的。 所以全球抗疫，朝鲜第一，中国第二。朝鲜是个零嘛，是吧？朝鲜是零感染，所以这个体制啊，它可以做到。我们这个体制也好，但是比朝鲜还差一点，还不如朝鲜。所以咱还死了4000人，是吧？但是你死4000人和美国死22万人比，你等于一个人都没死嘛，对吧？你看咱们等于差不多也是接近零感染，接近零死亡，14亿人死了4000人，那根本就等于没人得病，没人死嘛。 中国经济，全球经济，中国现在一枝独秀，中国超过美国时间提前了。2027年没有问题，美国活不成了。体系我们奋斗了10几年，在2012年，我们已经在台海取得了对美日，在台海不是在世界，我们在渤海、黄海、台海，我们对美军形成了绝对优势，而且我们的扩军的速度。 是人类历史上所从未有过的。我们已经连续好几年，每年下水一个法国海军，1年一个法国海军吨位，我们还要继续每年一个法国海军，至少再下10年。只要14亿中国人民每天吃饭、睡觉、拉屎、尿尿，只要我们每天上班，我们就把美国逼死了。这个从怎么讲，中国的发展都是不可抗拒。 不可停止，除非只要一个事情不出，只要中国不出一个戈尔巴乔夫，不把中国自己内部搞乱，不搞得自己分崩离析，中国的发展就不可抗拒。
Frightening, isn't it? Because a lot of what he says is conjecture, but there's a lot of truth in what he says. In that, the way things are going, they will overtake the United States economically speaking. I wish that was not the case. Unfortunately, it is, and it's going to happen more now with Biden in control, with Biden at the helm. Things are going to get worse. Now, we'll play this back again because there's some very key points I want to make. So let's start again, and there's some things I want to point out.
27年超过美国了。2027年。 原来说是可能还要缓个1-2年，结果今年这个上帝。
So he says this year God has pulled off a little trick, right? He's obviously talking about Rona. Now, with YouTube being what it is, I can't go into my own opinions on what I think's happening in regards to Rona figures. But what I can say, for example, is what we've seen is that a lot of people are being added to the lists of death totals. They've been added under the auspices of quote-unquote presumed to have died by COVID. Here in the United Kingdom, there was a well-known case where a man fell off a ladder, a builder. He fell off a ladder and died. His death was put down to COVID. Another person died of a heart attack. Their death was put down to Rona. So there is precedent to believe that figures in Western countries are being inflated. If they are, which they do look like they are, the question is, of course, naturally, why are they being inflated? To what end? And who's telling them to do that?
搞了个小阴谋是吧？上帝给这个搞出来一个新冠，叫世界各国一弄，就是一搞这个新冠，这么一折腾新冠，结果对世界各国出了个考题，等于是，结果这个考题是个偏心的考题。这个新冠啊，这个东西啊，它是最不利于欧美的，最有利于朝鲜和中国的。所以全球抗疫，朝鲜第一，中国第二。
So he said that North Korea is the number one in the fight against this, quote, global pandemic. Well, how can we trust the figures that come out of North Korea? They never tell the truth about anything, nothing at all. Why would we trust their figures on this? This is the country where I remember seeing once a video where people outside of Pyongyang being the capital of North Korea, the people who live in Pyongyang are classed in North Korea as, quote, living a privileged life. There's that word, privilege. You see where it comes from? The socialist Far East, the socialist East. These words like privilege, they get weaponized and politicized. People who live in Pyongyang in North Korea are classed as being privileged. People who are outside of the capital, Pyongyang, I remember seeing a video of them eating grass. They plucked grass from the floor and ate grass because they had nothing. They'd already eaten all the bark off of the trees. How desperate do you need to be to do something like that? So, would we believe their figures? I don't think so. In fact, if anything, the only people who have been forthright with their figures is the United States.
朝鲜是个零嘛，是吧？朝鲜是零感染，所以这个体制啊是可以做到。我们这个体制也好，但是比朝鲜还差一点，还不如朝鲜，所以咱还死了4000人，是吧？但是你死4000人和美国死22万人比，你等于一个人都没死嘛，对吧？咱们等于差不多也是接近零感染，接近零死亡。14亿人死了4000人，那根本就等于没人得病，没人死嘛。中国经济，全球经济，中国现在一枝独秀，中国超过美国时间提前了。2027年没有。
So he says they're ahead of the schedule and taking over the United States. Now, I find it concerning that there is an entire country with one of the largest countries in the world, with one of the biggest populations in the world, who have made it their national goal to overtake another country. They've made it their heart's desire. I find that spooky, to be honest. I find it concerning. The problem is, China is a house united. Western countries, Britain, Germany, Sweden, France, the United States, Canada, Australia, are houses divided against each other. This is why multiculturalism was introduced to the West. The East don't want nothing to do with multiculturalism. They want nothing to do with it. Marxism was introduced. This gulf, the widening gulf between left wing and right wing. In China, there is no left wing and right wing. There's just people who are communist and they get the good points. And there are people who are even still communist who happen to have said something, because everyone makes a mistake. They happen to have said something bad or did something bad or made a mistake. And then they get the bad points. They have a social credit system now in China. So you get what you do, essentially. But I stand by my point. China is a house united. They're all united together with one common goal. The West, we have had this globalist mirage, this globalist phantom of multiculturalism foisted upon us. So now we have many different groups of people with many different goals, many different ambitions. And none of them agree with each other. And that's bad, because we cannot unite.
美国活不成了，这体系我们奋斗了10几年，在2012年，我们已经在台海取得了对美日，在台海不是在世界，我们在渤海、黄海、台海，我们对美军形成了绝对优势，而且我们的扩军的速度是人类历史上所从未有过的，我们已经连续好几年。
So this is concerning here. He says they've been launching fleets. In other words, they've been building ships to add to their already enormous navy at a rate of what the French have in their fleet every year. So, for example, 2019, they had the equivalent of a French fleet. 2020, they had equivalent of a French fleet. 2021, a French fleet gets added to their total numbers, if you understand my meaning. Superiority over the sea will give China a huge boost and will make them essentially the world's only global superpower. We know this in Britain because 200 years ago we had superiority over all of the planet Earth's oceans. Every last ocean, every last sea, we had superiority over. So we know what that can do.
每年下水一个法国海军，1年一个法国海军吨位，我们还要继续每年一个法国海军，至少再下10年。只要14亿中国人民每天吃饭、睡觉、拉屎、尿尿，只要我们每天上班，我们就把美国逼死了。
And I'm going to leave on that bit there. He says, and I'm quoting him here, as long as we go to work every day, we will drive the United States to its death. You've got a whole country full of people who, I know not everyone does, but a lot of the people who are making the decisions think like this. And United States now is going to have in January, by the looks of it, Biden, who is neck deep in China, in charge of the United States. That's what Biden meant. When Biden said the Biden and Harris administration, or the Harris and Biden administration, depending on which way around you view it, said after the quote-unquote election that we are back. That's what he said. He tweeted it out on Twitter. He said we're back. What he means by that is, under his rule, under his governorship, premiership, the United States is back in the globalism game. In other words, they are back to being subservient to China. They are back to taking orders from the WHO and the United Nations. WHO, the United Nations, and the European Union are the three biggest engines for globalism on planet Earth. And with Biden in control, you're going to be having terms dictated to you by all three of those. Anyway, let me know what you think, ladies and gentlemen, in the comment section below. What do you think of this sociologist? I mean, look, it just proves that no matter where they come from, whether they're United States, UK, or China, or anywhere, sociologists are just people best avoided. Thank you for watching. If you haven't yet, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and share this video around. That'll help me stay competitive with the likes of CNN and then MSNBC, who will be your only choice if the globalists get their way. Thank you very much. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.